Hello and welcome to another episode of Improv Sucks. I'm your host, Nelson Velasquez. Thanks for watching. Recently, the Chicago Sun-Times and other media outlets out there have published articles about the potential reopening of the I.O. Chicago Theater, which, if you didn't know and have been living under a rock, has been shuttered for over a year due to the global pandemic severely affecting all aspects of life, especially those of us in the entertainment business who kind of rely on audiences to fuel their livelihoods. Now, I.O. is one of the big four institutions of Chicago improv and was recognized around the world as an improv mecca. People would travel to Chicago just to attend classes or see shows there. So when the community had heard that two real estate execs bought the property, but also the brand from co-founder Shauna Halpern for an estimated $15 to $20 million, I got hit up by a lot of people asking me for my thoughts on the whole thing. Now, before I share my thoughts on how this turn of events will impact improv, please consider liking the video and subscribe to the channel down below. I'd really appreciate it. My first and strongest opinion is that this revival is gonna take a while. Now, the articles don't really give a lot of details about any real timelines as to when I.O. could potentially reopen, and the building requires a major roof repair which will cost a bunch of money in permits and crew to address it. Now, they gotta get the whole thing done before the dreaded Chicago winter comes in and just destroys their ability to move on stuff because of snow, ice, and rain. So it's gonna be a while before classes can resume. Now, I'm hoping that it happens, but the weather does hamper things. Also, as a venue, per the article, I.O. didn't renew their liquor and their health and food licenses, which in Chicago are hard to come by and are super duper expensive. I double checked the city of Chicago's database and I couldn't find any approved liquor license renewal record for I.O., but I did find them for the second city. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't applied for them, but unless these new owners have some kind of connection, it's at least 90 days to receive a judgment from the time they apply, so it'll be at least October before the city approves their request at the earliest. I.O. Chicago will also be needing to get business, music, public place of amusement, and outdoor patio licenses, thus adding a lot more time to the equation. Now, to me, the moneymaker in the whole I.O. scheme was that beautiful bar that they had right as you walked in and the food service that they had there. Now, not to say classes and shows didn't help in paying the bills, but it's kind of a known convention in theater that most places don't make nearly as much money off ticket sales and classes as they do getting people to buy pricey food and drink for an inviting atmosphere of entertainment. Another thing I.O. has going against its reopening going smoothly is that the climate in which it used to operate under has changed. Many of the employees and volunteers there have probably moved on to new jobs and opportunities, so there's probably going to be a bit of a brain drain in daily operations of the theater. In addition, there were numerous online postings about how I.O. never returned money to students who had paid for classes when it abruptly closed back in 2020. Now, these people most likely will be looking to get their money back either via check or maybe being allowed to take new classes, which wouldn't necessarily translate to new revenue for the new owners. Also, from a performance perspective, there was a petition on change.org that started in 2020 urging people to vow to never perform at I.O. until systematic changes were made to have it be more inclusive to the BIPOC and the LGBTQIA+ community, and also compensate its workers monetarily for their contributions to the theater. Now, a major component of that petition was that Shauna Halpern was to no longer be the sole determining factor of opportunities at the theater, which now is the case. According to the article, Shauna wouldn't necessarily be involved in the day-to-day management of the theater, but rather acting as maybe some kind of legacy advisor. Now, it'll be interesting for me to see what, if anything, the new owners will do to address these necessary changes. Now, the one thing that jumped out at me about the article was that the information gained so far about I.O.'s future came directly from Shauna and not necessarily the new owners. So we, the public, are effectively getting the information second or third hand. This leads me to believe that with the timeline to reinstate I.O. back to what it was being so long and arduous, coupled with many of the obstacles the theater would have to overcome within the improv community, from the students to the staff to the teachers to the patrons, I'm of the mind that this is probably just an investment move made by the owners. Until I hear differently, I don't believe that they're just doing this out of artistic choice to reopen it, but rather set the stage so that, in theory, it could come back with someone who not only has the monetary capital to do so, but can also have the artistic will to pull it off. Now, don't get me wrong, I do want the stages to reopen because, everywhere across the country, anytime a stage goes dark, it makes it harder on the theater community as a whole to continue. However, I just don't believe that this is the last we've heard about IO's potential comeback. I think we'll hear a lot about many of the changes to come, and we'll see who gets involved. My hope is that IO does come back with some kind of renewed management who takes the demands of the community seriously and have the right players involved to provide a safe and rewarding place to learn, perform, and most importantly, laugh. So what do you think? Do you think IO's coming back anytime soon? And if it does come back, what would you like to see happen there? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm your host, Nelson Velasquez, and thank you for watching.